We're live. Hey, welcome back. We're back in the studio again. It's Monday All Weekend show.
Back again.
That's right.
Back again.
We got a big topic to be talking about today.
Oh boy. Oh
we
boy.
went to the movie theater.
We did.
As a lot of people did this weekend,
Mm-hmm.
leading up to this December 16th.
Mm-hmm.
There was a small movie,
Little movie.
a little movie that we've been
Little indie
anticipating
A little indie film.
for
Yeah.
quite a few months. Some would say years.
Some would say
Some would
years.
say decades. Some would say decades.
Some would say more than a decade. Some would say that.
Some might.
We watched Avatar: The Way of Water.
Mhm.
Long movie, big movie.
Yes.
I don't
Long
really
boy.
know where to begin.
So I think we should start at the beginning. I think we should
What a
break
beautiful place to begin.
this. we should break this into the audience and the cultural's perception
Okay.
of this movie. So, and I think we should review it in categories.
So I have categories on my phone if you guys would like to follow
Pull it
that.
up.
Categorize us.
Pull it up.
Categorize
So
us.
I
Pull it
actually
up.
I wrote a full review.
Oh boy!
on my phone.
Well, you said you were going to share that with me. You never did.
I thought I shared it with Joe.
You never
Yeah,
shared it with me.
And I was about to read it today, and I decided not to because I wanted to hear your thoughts, and I didn't want to be influenced.
yeah.
But
That's a good place.
don't read the whole review. Let's break it into
Yeah.
categories.
We
All
can
right?
we can go. So my categories are visuals,
This
story,
is a spoiler
dialogue.
review.
Yeah, this
very
is
spoiler
spoilers.
heavy.
Yeah, if you don't want spoilers,
If you've not seen the movie,
get out of here.
get out.
Go. We don't want you. Actually, we do want you.
We do want you.
Stick
but
around.
It's unfortunate that we're giving spoilers for the movie in this live.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what we do.
It's all right.
But-
So the categories I have are visuals, story, dialogue, characters,
That's so much.
subplot,
That's so much.
motivation.
and
That's
What
so
do you,
much.
What do you
Look,
guys want to go
and
with?
what I was saying at the beginning, the first perception of the story is the visuals.
Visuals.
That's what
Yeah.
everyone's been thinking about. Let's start there.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
It's good. Visuals are on point.
Was there any
Visuals for me, I have no complaints. I think there was. So I don't. We can get into all of this, but I feel like there was visuals, that were very good. The only complaint I have on the visuals, which is not really a complaint, is there was shots for visual sake that were not needed to progress the story.
Right. Of course.
So there was a lot of that.
My opinion on the visuals were, as a whole, they were fantastic. You really do a good job if people aren't questioning what's real. So the water, especially, is probably the most perfect.
Yeah.
Blown. I mean,
I
he
would
blew it
ag-
out
I
of the
would
water,
agree.
essentially.
Yes.
It's beautiful. It's incredible. It's impressive. At no point was like, this water doesn't feel, great. No, the water was good all the way through.
Yes, it was.
On a scene-by-scene basis, there were some moments that felt a little bit like a video game cutscene.
It did feel very, very video game-esque.
But
mostly-
that's also a testament to how good video games are these days.
Yeah, true.
You know, if you didn't
Mostly,
have that as a
though,
reference.
that was like the commando group in the forest
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
When it was like dark or shaded, felt kind of like that. But
Mhm.
other than that, I have no complaints really about the visuals.
Now, I have to say, I didn't know how much different the first one could look compared to this one, all right? This whole decade plus, I have been thinking about if they ever get to another Avatar film, I've always thought, how are they going to top animation when basically the first one looks like real life, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it wasn't so much that they had to make the characters' detail look better. What they had to do better was environment science. So the way light hits the skin.
Yeah.
The first movie, if you watch it, there are light beams, but more than anything, it's very soft, almost like cloudy daylight, because
Yeah.
it's easier to animate stuff in that environment. Not in this case. It was a full-on tropical, sunny, shadowy, harsh light, shadows, everything. And like Wyatt said, the water, there's multiple environments that we have to see in a new way. And that's really what they expanded on, not so much the characters and the way they
Well,
move
the characters,
themselves.
Yes.
the way they look, like when you get close-up shots of Jake or Neytiri,
They look.
it looks like you could touch them.
Yes, absolutely.
Like they have texture to their skin. The first one had it, but not to this level.
Yes,
Like you
I
can
would
see,
agree.
they have pores. They have texture to the skin. Some of them have facial blemishes or blemishes on their body the same way we do. It just looks, like I was blown away in the moment when they're doing medical work on the daughter, Kiri.
Yeah.
And they've got her laid out, and they're going over her stomach, and you can see the hair, right?
Mm-hmm.
The just really fine hair
Belly
on her
hair.
body, and
Yeah.
you're like, wait, hold on.
Don't say belly hair.
I didn't.
That sounds so weird.
It's the same kind of like hair.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have, like,
it
on
is.
the
Yeah,
bottom
yeah,
of
yeah.
your
Yeah.
arms. It's like, just like incredible how
Yeah,
much
yeah.
detail there is.
Absolutely.
I was blown away by that shot in particular.
And in some ways they did improve on it, but that's also just textures.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something they didn't have back in 2009 or they didn't implement. I think the way that you see it relies heavily on the new way that they choose to make this artificial light,
Mhm.
Yeah.
which is really playing a big role in this film.
What made, I think, the water really convincing, especially because they're jumping in and out of water all the time.
All the time.
They be
Surface
in
tension.
Yeah.
Dude, surface tension. You can see the surface tension as they break the water.
Yes.
As it you can see it's like a helmet almost.
Perfect.
And then it reaches like,
Breaking point.
breaking point and it just scatters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's so beautiful. All right, let's go to the next point. There's no question there that they really did a good job. Actually, the only complaint I would say is
Mm-hmm.
just desaturate it by like 4 stops.
Mhm.
Not that the Caribbean shouldn't be vibrant, you shouldn't emulate that, but in some ways you get a
Well, they're
little
not in
too
the
close to like a
Caribbean, but-
cartoon vibe or like a Pixar animation vibe.
The
You should
first
back
one,
off the color just a touch.
the first one wasn't quite as saturated.
Yeah, it had
And in
a
fact, if you watch it now, they've updated it
Mhm.
and made it much more vibrant, which takes you out of it almost.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
shouldn't. They should, like the big battle scene at the end. You didn't get a sense for that. It was
Mhm.
all really well lit and colored, but those like bright sunny days, just pull back on the color just a touch.
And I am sure they've messed with the lighting in the first one.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sure as well.
Because I remember Jake runs up at the end of his big speech and he jumps on the big
The bird.
bird.
Yeah.
Like the last shadow, right?
Yes,
And I remember it being just this brilliant display of like morning sunshine, but it's dark. I
Yeah.
watched it recently and it's dark. And I'm like, wait a second, this isn't right. It's morning. The sun is coming up over the horizon for this scene, but they don't show it. And they apparently updated it, and now there's no
they're doing it different.
morning light, and I hate it. Yeah,
Dang.
it looks terrible.
Bummer.
Where are we going next
So
with our?
I have next in my notes story.
Mm-hmm. Let's hit it.
Story. Yeah.
Let's read what you got.
Say what you're gonna say, Wyatt, and then I'll get
Let's
into
see, I
what
wrote
I'm gonna say
here-
about the story
I wrote,
because
the story is simple and executed simply. Cameron has never shown an aptitude for dynamic plot-driven narratives, but instead follows character arcs to tell story. He does.
Yes.
Yeah.
Much of the beginning of the movie is unnecessary references to the previous Avatar film, often repeating familiar dialogue or scene composition, just in case you forgot. Cameron fails to understand that these moments are not the reason people enjoy the first movie. Once we move away from the familiar, the story has a chance to take on a life of its own, and while it does meander somewhat, I would rather have too much movie than not enough.
so you like that it was longer.
I like that it was longer than the first. You could have cut it back.
Yeah.
I like that it was longer because it gave every character a chance to have a little bit of story, which is good if you have a cast that large.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely could have cut it back, but if it had been the same length as the first movie, it would have felt super two-dimensional for all the characters.
Yes.
I mean, just there would have been nothing.
What are your thoughts for story, Joshua?
So this is I would actually agree with what you said. I think it was a little bit different when we talked about it, but this is where and if you didn't kind of pick up this already, I I'll just say I ranked the film a 4 out of 10 because I thought it was a terrible movie.
Coming out of the theater.
Coming out of the theater,
Which is
where you
surprising.
usually got
You're
you have a
usually
high.
like, yeah, this was
of-
good, and then later you're like thinking about it now.
Yeah. A 4 out of 10 because of the story. So I was looking for something new, and I felt like all they did was repeat the first one with water, and it was kind of a callback and kind of dumb. I'm the type of person that I don't want a sequel if it's going to be very sequel gimmicky or there's going to be a hack of sequel for sequel's sake. And I felt like that's what this was. Even though Cameron has been holding on the story for
A long time.
years
Yeah.
at this point, I felt like it still was a sequel for sequel sake. Maybe with the next film, though, because of this, they kind of had to tell us this story to get to a better story for the third and fourth one. I don't know. But for this one, this is where spoilers come in. So Courage is brought back in this film, but come to find out, before the last battle on the first one when he gets killed, he took the time to upload his consciousness to a server. Then he went in battle, gets killed, and then one of the humans,
They send it back.
yes,
Yeah.
they send it back, but they put his consciousness into an avatar. That felt very like sequel, like they just did
Sequel
this
thing.
Yes, they
Yeah.
did it to create a sequel, and that's dumb to me. They also, on top of that, they had a lot of callbacks. I would
Yeah,
agree.
way too many.
Like on the first one, he says something like fantastic or something like that, and he literally used those exact words.
Yeah.
Because
like in the first one he has a speech. He's like, you are not in Kansas anymore.
yeah,
You're on Pandora. Well, they do that again, but he's in an avatar body. He's like,
Yes.
you're not in Kansas anymore. Telling the speech to people who literally heard this speech from him like 3 months before
yeah.
in their minds.
Well,
Even
no,
though-
they skip a couple of years.
Oh,
Well-
we're talking 10 years, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Listen to me.
All right.
Listen to me. Listen to Linda.
All right, I'm
All right.
listening. I'm listening.
This is a speech that they have heard recently according to their memories.
Okay. Yes.
They've just woken up. The
Yeah.
last memory that they had
Was the
was
speech.
on Pandora, and he had given that speech 3 months before they died. 3 months. So they've heard this, and he's given it to people that he knows well.
Yeah.
Marines that he knows well. It's
So-
stupid.
Yes, I would agree. All that is very dumb.
Yeah.
And I feel like because we have something we've seen before, we've had almost this just Courage chasing Jake Sully in the movie. I could not, at least, you guys said you felt this better, but I could not dive into the relationships of the family, the sons, the daughter, because they kept pulling me out to show me this conflict with the bad guy that made no sense to me, and I hated it. And then another thing that was
We got a lot of points to get to, my dude.
Okay, just-
Summarize.
this is the last thing I'm going to summarize. They threw this character in called Spider.
Mm-hmm.
He was a human that has been living with the avatars.
Yeah.
Without officially saying it, they were saying that Spider was Courage's son.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, they say it pretty officially.
They do. Courage had a son somehow. So this tough guy that won't take his guard down for anything on the first movie because he learned his lesson by getting scratched in the face and almost dying, puts his guard down to have this romantic relationship with another Marine.
You're making that up. Nobody said it was a romantic relationship.
I would feel better for this character Spider if it wasn't any relationship to Courage, and it was just like two Marines that lived there, has nothing to do with Courage, had a had some kind of relationship, because that would be okay. I know that happened.
Yeah.
So
the spider thing is a little bit
It's-
sequely.
yeah, it's
but
dumb.
having him be related to Quaritch makes sense for his character. It makes sense writing for his character.
Yeah,
even
but
though
that's
there's
dumb.
no previously established basis for that in the
No.
first movie. The only way to have a new story, the only way to continue the story the way that Cameron wanted to, was to add stuff in. Because, in my opinion, it's the same thing that happened with George Lucas. He wrote the movie, it turned out well, and he was like, this is a really great original idea concept that I've come up with. I should write more of these.
Yeah.
And so, in doing so, he didn't put any thought into stuff for a sequel movie. So he had to put it all into the second one. And the fact that the movie is 3 hours long gives us time to kind of process that. Again, if it were
felt
only
long.
if it were shorter, it would have felt like way too much happening or not enough happening.
Yeah, but just cut back some of the stuff.
I
give
feel
us so
like,
much stuff.
I feel like you need the 3 hours.
I don't want a buffet. I
to-
want just a Chick-fil-A sandwich and some
justify
fries.
what he adds. You need the 3 hours to be able to justify that, and I think they justify it at the end. I think
Hey,
the end works.
I want to hold for a second to say, hey, comment in the, give us some comments.
Yeah,
we want to
absolutely.
talk with you guys. If you've seen it, if you haven't seen it, comment down below in the chat, because we need your interaction on these lives.
Yeah.
It's not just us doing a podcast. We have the podcast. Give
So
us some interaction.
My next point. Did you want to add anything to that, Joe?
No, you guys pretty much covered. most
Okay.
of my
My
thoughts.
next point is dialogue.
Go ahead.
we kind of covered that a little bit.
I think it's where the movie's the weakest.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah.
Because they repeat stuff from the first one.
Let's see.
We talked about that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. This is all Cameron criticism here. I did write. People might complain about how many times the children say "bro."
Bruh.
I did. I certainly started getting annoyed with it. However, I will say this: they are teenagers, and if you've hung out with teenagers, they say "bro" a lot.
Yeah.
They really do. They say "bro, hey, bro,
Hey.
hey." They use
Hey.
their vocabulary isn't as full as an adult,
Hmm.
so they use filler words, words that they're accustomed to and that they like, to kind of sub in for lack of vocabulary, and that's fine. They're kids, so
They should have.
I expect that.
What would be more interesting though is because they're not American kids. They're not, from this earth. So maybe have that element in there, but change it up a little bit to be part of this world, like a new thing.
No,
Like, somehow
they're saying
not feel.
they're saying "bro" because of Jake.
Well,
It's
yeah,
it's
but-
because of Jake and the and the scientists. In the previous movie, you actually hear the scientists saying, "Hey, bro," right?
yeah.
Yeah,
I guess.
they're gonna say, I like it. Makes them seem like, oh, they're picking up stuff from Jake. They're picking up stuff from the scientists, right?
I guess
So they say "bro," they say "cuz,"
they do.
It's kid stuff, and
Yeah.
I like that for teenagers. I don't want all my teenagers to be super serious, boring. I want them to be annoying. You feel?
No, I would say give
Feel
it to
me?
give them that, and it makes more sense now that you explain it that they're picking up Jake. But give us that same annoyingness, but in their own unique way.
Yeah. I mean, I think it works well. Jake makes it clear at the beginning. The reason they're talking English for the majority of the movie is that one scene where he's like, it was hard to distinguish between the two languages, but now speaking the Na'vi language so much,
Yeah,
I hear it basically as English now. And so they
Yeah.
do that at the beginning to kind of,
yeah.
so that they're not all talking in the Omarikayan.
Yeah.
Then you have to read.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to go to the language use of the children,
Mm-hmm.
I think it motivates the arc of their characters that they are set apart and they are different.
Yeah,
It's just
they are.
another layer to how they're different from other tribes and other Na'vi, essentially.
Other kids.
And so it's just a part of the use. They come from a strange family on Pandora. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So the strange family.
Yeah.
Honestly.
What else we got? What's another?
Yeah, so
topic?
dialogue was kind of the weakest overall.
Yeah.
Just it is what it is. There's some cringe lines, but that's James Cameron.
I did think
characters is my most extensive category.
Okay, let's hit it.
Yeah.
I started with Jake and Neytiri.
Okay.
So I don't think there's anything new or special necessarily
not
from
really.
them, except for good father, good dad, good husband, good mom, good wife. I think that's probably the strongest character work in the movie is them just being a good family.
Well, I
think
say
it's things that people can relate to.
there are little things about Jake's character that you have to pick up on that shows that he is trying to be a good dad, but doesn't fully understand.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And he pushes too hard.
Yeah,
He
like a
pushes so
Marine.
hard at times where it's like he's a dick,
Yeah.
right?
I
And
think
he's just like he's getting onto his one kid so often.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
something I wish they threw in there, and this is just making the film longer. I wish they would cut a few things, but then added stuff like this. I think to strengthen a relationship, at least this is how I would feel more connected to Jake being a father. So he fell in love with Neytiri on the first one, but there was no "I want to be a father" type thing. There was no desire in that a sense of we just seeing that until he just had kids.
Right.
So I feel like maybe to give a little bit of show us some kind of motivation of his me wanting to be a father, and maybe tie that to his brother a little bit. We didn't see anything with his brother,
Yeah.
and
I would have liked
he
some
had this
references to his
really
brother.
big connection with his brother, and that's why he's
'Cause
on
it's-
Pandora. But we got nothing of
It's
that.
his brother's avatar. That's
So-
not even his avatar.
No.
Or even better yet, see like a connection with his kids and be like, that it's from me, but
If
it's
he was
kind
like-
of I see my brother in my kids
If he
because
was looking
this
at
is my
his kids and
brother's
being
body.
like, they look like my brother.
Yes.
I would have liked
Yes.
some of that.
That would be
Um,
that'd make me connect a lot more.
I don't necessarily need some sort of motivation for him to want to be a dad. Because people don't fall in love and get married
Well, yeah.
thinking I want to be a dad.
Well,
Not usually.
no,
That just happens.
but something like that motivation.
I don't need motivation for him to be a dad. I like that he's just a good father. And his whole thing is protect the family. Protect the family, protect the family. Going so far as to make mistakes, like calling in the helicopter for his daughter, in his blind protect the family kind of thing.
Mhm.
He starts to not think, he starts to panic almost, right? Which is good for him. Neytiri kind of takes a back seat in this movie.
She does. Yeah, she's not in it a lot. It
Until
feels
the
like
end, and but we get a lot of her motivations in the end.
Well, Neytiri, the way I saw it with Jake is that he is over controlling. He has to learn how to trust, especially his older boys.
Mhm.
He also needs to learn how to explain to his family the why behind his decision making. Neytiri, throughout the whole film, is very submissive, actually, to Jake and his ideas and his plans until the end. Until the end, where she kind of takes control and goes outrage. You know what I mean? And it does lead to.
She doesn't take control.
But she takes matters into her own hands.
She at the very, but even when she's freaking out, he's there as like a counterbalance to her. She's freaking out, and he's like, "You need to calm down,
Somewhat,
but
because I need you.
yeah.
I don't need. I want you to mourn, but I need you right now to be able to fight.
yeah.
It's just their relationship is really good.
Yeah,
It's a
but-
great
so that's what I'm
dichotomy.
saying. You started by saying it kind of there wasn't a lot there. They took a back seat,
She took sort of a back seat,
but
yeah.
I feel like it wasn't. There was just the small complexities of relationship and character building,
Yeah.
not as extensive as someone like their sons or Courage. So we should transfer into those characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, the son. I think I think the second son gets the most screen time, right?
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
Of the
Yeah.
of the kid, maybe him and the daughter. What I write? Let's see. Kid story. Loak has probably the most screen time.
Mm-hmm.
Very headstrong.
Next to Kiri.
Yeah.
Flies by the seat of his pants. Kind of leads his older brother into trouble as well.
Can I touch on this a little bit?
Yeah.
Because I do have a little bit after I've thought about it of
Mm-hmm.
the film. I'm still giving it a 4 out of 10. It's a terrible film, in my opinion. But the best thing, and something I would like to watch it again because I want to see what I think the second time watching it, is the two brothers' relationship.
Yeah.
I would like to watch that again and see what I think. The younger brother, though,
Mm-hmm.
I think him by himself without the older brother was very boring. We literally sat there for 20 minutes and watched him swim with whales.
Yeah.
That was pointless, in my
Well,
opinion.
okay.
It's pointless, yes, but I don't know how it's a point against the movie.
It's not a point against the movie. I think there was just too much stuff that I was like, this is boring. We saw this in the first one.
But we didn't see any of that in the first one.
No, we did not. We did
didn't
not.
see any
We
swimming
saw the
with the
Courage
whales.
stuff in the first one, and then this is, once we see him swim with whales for like 3 minutes, we've seen enough, and they kept going on and on about
They went
it.
along a lot of swimming with the whale.
Yes.
Right? There
I
was
don't
a lot
know.
of swimming with
You're
the whale.
blowing it out of proportion.
But
It felt like a Free Willy
I don't think
montage.
I don't think it's a negative of the movie necessarily. It's just
No.
maybe a little bit too long of a sequence.
Well, it's also not your vibe, so it feels long. But
And-
like,
I mean, it's just James Cameron. James Cameron's that character.
but that's
He's
your
swimming
time
with the
to
whale.
that's your time to sit back and admire the visuals. which
yeah,
is what
I
they're
mean that's
trying
fine.
To do for
I
you.
enjoyed the visuals. I didn't get bored. That was kind of what kept me from getting bored. Was visually
Visuals.
everything was stunning, and I was having such a good time.
Yes.
What did you
but-
think about the relationship, Joseph?
So the relationship with the whales.
No,
No,
the brothers.
brothers.
Oh, the brothers, I think-
the sister, the relationship between Jake and Natiri, any of that.
So how important Kiri's character is going
Kiri?
to be?
Who's
they
Kiri?
didn't elaborate
daughter.
her too much.
Oh.
They didn't elaborate on her too much, which I suspect is going to be taking place much more in
Yeah.
the 3
Yeah.
and 4 films, right? Obviously, she's a huge role in this.
Mhm.
Didn't get as much screen time as the significant but less like big picture important character as the youngest son. So, in that case, I like his arc in the sense where he kind of discovers what's important to him. He discovers kind of how he fits in the family, even at great sacrifice. You know what I mean? And the thing
Great
is, he kind of
sacrifice
discovered
for
that even
every
before his
false
brother was killed.
Yeah. The important thing is that like the dad tells the older brother Netaim that he needs to not let Loak lead him into trouble all the time, but also like stick up for your brother, be a leader, be strong. And he does that. He fulfills his story arc really well. But even in the end, Loak is the one who's like, hey, Spider is still trapped on this ship.
Yeah.
We need to go save him. And it's a logical argument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he was the best character
Yeah.
in the relationship with his brother, with the relationship with him and Jake.
Mhm.
How you saw that Jake was this very like stern. He wanted to be a good father, but he was still stern. And you saw this. You saw his like Marine side coming out, and how he was very strict with him, and he was the best thing of the film. Everything else was kind of bad.
Incorrect about that.
Yeah, we're just gonna go. You're gonna be like everything else was bad. We're just gonna be like wrong. Next point. But yeah, I liked both the brothers' arc. I thought clearly the movie was more about Loak than
Yeah.
Netaim. But Netaim has a good arc that's I think pretty heartwarming at the end and very sad.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, did it make you cry? Real
It was
quick.
close. It was close actually.
Freaking.
Because that scene was put together so well.
Yeah.
It was put together just beautifully. And then even Natiri walks up and she looks at them, but she doesn't interrupt. She doesn't she doesn't want to have her time with the son because she sees he's having that moment.
Yeah.
Right? And she's just experiencing that and watching it. It was such a well put together moment. And then obviously there's the last kid is Took.
Yeah. I enjoyed watching her character. She was so cute on screen.
Let's see. I put here
Just so adorable.
Natam had a simple, powerful story, and Took was perpetually cute and vulnerable. Her whole character.
Hold on, no, not complete. Yes, vulnerable, but like she can hold her breath and swim like none of the other siblings.
And she gets mean, right? She pulls knives on dudes.
Yeah, she does.
We could go on forever about this.
Yeah.
Can we come to some kind of conclusion?
So
because
real quick, Miles Quaritch Jr., who is Spider, was kind of I think the movie did a disservice to him.
Yeah.
Because I think he's a super interesting character that was often disregarded just too many times. Even by this family that he loves and that loves him, they often would just like forget about him.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just felt
he was
weird.
Abandoned by the Sully family, and he grew up with the Sully family.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the first time they couldn't get to him. There was no way. But
they still decided to.
Yeah,
run.
to he wasn't really part of their family.
I think he, as much as you could tell a story with him because of him being human on this world, I think what they were doing was trying to just show us, the avatars, and we don't really want to see a human because. But I mean,
they made such a huge point. They put that he's such an integral part of the movie, especially at the end. But they have this moment where Neytiri, in the beginning of the movie, were clearly like Neytiri doesn't like Spider.
Yeah, he's human.
She doesn't like him playing with her kids. She's uncomfortable with that.
Yes,
it annoys her. Mm-hmm. That pays off later in the movie when she grabs him and threatens Quaritch. She's like, a son for a son.
Yeah.
And you think she's about to kill him.
Yeah, she would have. She absolutely would have. And it's like Quaritch's one weak point. And you didn't think it was going to be a weak point. I mean, I knew it was.
Yeah, we all knew.
The movie was leading there naturally.
I didn't know. I was experiencing it 100%.
But I'm glad they did that. It gave him something other than just his hatred.
Yes.
Which is good for his character. And then at the end, he comes back to the family, and there's nothing.
No.
There's nothing, but I would have a scene between him and Neytiri would have been
beautiful.
Something.
Yeah.
Right? If she was like, if she apologized, if she, I don't know, accepted him, if she hugged him, I don't know, something. I don't know. I would have to think about it more to write it. Something to kind of pay that off.
I mean, Jake got a hug with Spider.
He got a hug, yeah,
and his son. But Neytiri, no, and that would have been a beautiful moment if she were to extend herself to someone like Spider.
Payoff is going to be good though, because at the end of the movie he saves Quaritch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't tell them,
Neytiri might kill him.
Neytiri might kill him.
She might finish the job.
You let him live. You saved him. I hope that's a hot spot in the next movie.
It might not come to fruition till 4.
Yeah, and then finishing this up, Quaritch is my favorite character. I like badass villains.
Yeah, I
like cool, scary, awesome villains that aren't like, oh, what's the gray side? What's what's the good and the bad? No, make your villains bad. They're bad guys. I want my villain to be a bad guy. We can humanize him a little bit, but I want him to be a bad guy.
Yeah,
yeah, and he is. He's bad and he's badass.
Yes,
he's awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
Quaritch, as much as he is a good bad guy, the fact that they killed him on the first one, they brought him back on this one, and everything they did to him, and nah.
Josh is just wrong here on this point. He doesn't understand villains and character writing.
No,
you can't make a better villain.
I would be okay if on the first one, maybe they made him breathe air. He passed out because he had no oxygen. Somehow he got saved, and then he
But
came
that's
back
not how the
and did
movie
the
is.
Avatar thing in this one.
You're angry at the character because of a little bitty thing
No.
in the beginning.
No.
That's what you're angry about instead of appreciating the character.
No.
And
Sometimes you got to
honestly-
overlook how they explain it to appreciate
No, you got
the
rose-colored
character.
glasses.
we gotta be
These
honest.
aren't rose-colored glasses. This is objectional.
Okay.
Objectional reviewing of a movie.
Nope.
He is a
Nope.
badass, awesome villain.
Look, I gotta throw.
I don't know
my
how you
thoughts in
can't.
here.
You can't write a better. They wrote the perfect villain in the first one.
Look,
Yeah,
Josh
before
was-
the first one, yes.
All right.
Yeah. What
Josh
do you
was-
do
For this
in the
movie,
second?
no.
What do you do in the second? What do you do? Tell me what you do.
You maybe bring him back, but he cannot be killed on the first one to bring him back for the second
he
one.
was, and they did bring him back.
If James Cameron knew that he was making a second one with courage, don't kill him on the
It's
first
a
one.
non-issue.
Don't kill him on the first
It's
one.
a non-issue. It's shoehorned into the beginning.
Marvel has ruined you can't kill somebody. Marvel does this all the time where they kill off a character and then
then
somehow
they're not truly
magically
dead.
they're
Right.
not dead. And I
But
hate
this isn't
that.
a multiverse, massive storytelling thing. This is a one in-universe thing. And they explain it in-universe.
I don't care. It's dumb.
It's not. It's
They
not
explain
crazy
it
to.
in universe.
It's absolutely not crazy to believe based on the technology they have from the first
Yeah,
movie.
they say suspend your disbelief that people can ride avatars. Then they say in the second, suspend your disbelief that they can download their memories and send
yeah,
them
they,
back.
they can house that consciousness the same way they're housing it in a
I'm not saying
biological
that
being.
it's not possible. It's just a dumb concept.
So why is he a bad character in the movie?
Because we saw him die in the first one.
That's not a reason why he's a bad character in this one.
We're-
It's not a reason.
You just
He's-
don't want your beloved
No.
rose-colored glasses
It's not
bad
a-
guy
no,
to
no,
be.
no. It's not a reason for why he's bad in this movie.
Okay.
What did his character do in this movie that you didn't like? Those are the reasons I need.
Okay. Everything he did
Mm-hmm.
was repeat from the first one.
Nope,
He said
nothing.
the same lines. He
In
said
the very
this.
beginning, he said the same lines.
No, he did throughout the movie.
throughout the
the movie.
Look,
Nah.
different from the first movie. We felt empathy and was really wondering about
No.
Courage as a character that's on a multi-layer of
No.
emotions,
Yeah,
not just this straight line.
he goes
bad
on a
guy.
different kind of style of doing. In the first one, he hangs around until the last battles, and then in this one, he's like, "No, we're going out. We're gonna hunt. We're gonna think like the Na'vi. We're gonna talk like the Na'vi. We are Na'vi now."
He gets himself
and
a
then-
rider,
And
or
then
something to ride.
he jumps on the bird
Mm.
and starts doing his thing. He starts hunting. He is mean and he's
Well, this
scary
is
and
this
he's
is where
brutal.
everybody should watch the film and decide for themselves.
Yeah.
I hated this character. Why I like this character, and that's
And
the,
keep
that
in
is-
mind. Keep in mind, mine's based off of the character in the movie. Josh is
No.
based off that he died in the last.
Wyatt
one.
just
That's
doesn't want to
his
be proven
only
wrong
reason.
at this point.
You're
Wyatt
not.
just
You are
doesn't
not
want to
proving
prove.
me wrong. You
Wyatt-
haven't listed anything.
Wyatt does not want his
List
beloved
something.
bad guy.
List something.
I've listed multiple things. I'm not repeating them.
You haven't listed anything of why he's a bad character in this movie.
Look, I have an example.
Does he have a bad character arc?
He has no character arc because he repeated the first movie
No,
he
in
didn't.
an Avatar body.
Think
No, he
about
didn't.
this.
You're,
Notice-
you're just wrong because you're just saying things.
Him as a character, I'm not saying the story repeated. No, it did a little bit. But his character was the same exact thing. He
So
said
they
the same
establish
lines.
a character in the first movie and they pay it off by having him be that person in the second. So he follows his character
By saying the exact
he
same
follows
things,
his character
yes.
motivations and who he is. That's how you write characters. And then they give him a story arc by humanizing him at the very end. That's how you change characters. It's called setup and payoff.
Or
Bam!
maybe not so much humanizing him, but Naviing him a little bit.
No, it's humanizing him because he's Na'vi and his character arc is based off of a human's decision. It's
But,
humanizing.
okay, maybe.
There's people in the
I
comments.
want to point this out.
Is there anybody
see
that
anybody
has
in the
seen it
comments.
that nobody's commenting? See,
Okay,
people are
Let me
watching.
point this out real quick.
Let us
before we
know what
rate
you
it.
think.
Before we rate it, I want to point this out. Not only are we seeing that kind of human development, but we see it in specific moments, not just with his son. But think about this: the ever so slight disgust he had with the whale hunter.
Mm-hmm.
that you could pick up on the
Yeah.
vibe.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? His enjoyment, his love for his flying dragon bird.
His
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
his-
he really gets in touch
when
with
they're
the
hunting the Tukun, he's as the dude's explaining, has this ambiance of just watching. He has no enjoyment. He's like, they're
different than the first movie.
completely different, where he's like, yeah, let's have fun destroying this stuff. He's not enjoying any of this because he doesn't care.
Mhm.
It's not that he feels anything for the whales. He just doesn't care. That's not his goal, you know?
I wouldn't go so far as to say he doesn't care. I think he is feeling emotions that are inconvenient to his goal, which is taking care of Jake
No,
Sully.
he's a Marine, so he sees these guys who are working out kind of outside the realm of military and doing this thing that is almost not justifiable by kind of like military stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, they're just getting this for immortality. This isn't like for, for saving humanity. This is just for making money,
Yeah.
Whereas the last one, his goal was protect the people who are mining, make sure that they can mine, make sure that we can establish stuff within the bounds of what we do as a military.
Yeah.
So
1 out of 10. What?
Yeah, give us a ranking. Then
Mine
we'll
is
close
7.
this out.
Mine is a 7.
Mine is a 4. It is a 4 out of 10.
It's
and
okay.
mine is an 8 because my gut knew it was an 8 when I walked out of the theater. And I'm sticking with it.
That's fine. I think everybody's opinions are valid. Honestly, some are wrong,
Some
but they're
opinions
valid.
are valid.
Wrong to you.
Opinions are valid.
I give it a 7. I could have given it higher. I don't think it's.
In
You
your
know-
brain, it doesn't deserve higher.
It didn't deserve higher. There's too many plot holes, too many dialogue issues, too many moments where I was like, "Bleh." Nah.
Neck and too long.
There was a couple moments where I like put my hands up, like what just happened?
Yes.
Really cool parts. One part that doesn't get like that. I want a toy.
Yeah.
I want a toy of Quaritch and his bird, because his bird has like military like stuff on it.
Mm-hmm.
He's
got straps.
the Na'vi tribe, they have like Na'vi stuff.
Bareback.
He's got military packs and everything. I was like, yeah, that's sick. That's pretty cool.
We
Mhm.
love you. And one other thing, really quickly, if you are interested, our Patreon, that would be awesome. The link's in the description. We would love for you to see some of the exclusive and early content there. All right. Any final thoughts from you, fellas?
That's it.
No, we didn't
Yeah.
touch on really any of the water
whale stuff.
water tribe.
Yeah, well, there's water tribe stuff. There's whale stuff.
But-
if you guys want to hear more about Avatar, we'll definitely be talking about it in future videos on the podcast. So check us out there. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.